Hello and welcome. Welcome to you. Welcome to my abode, our oasis, I should say, Brian and I's oasis. This is our living area. So it's lovely to have you today. There were some guys that were doing construction outside of my studio. So I decided, hey, why not pick up and move locations? This is the cool thing about being able to record anywhere, is that you can actually record anywhere. So ta-da! I'm glad to be with you today. Aubrey Eicher here, and here's what I'm talking about today. And this is going to be number one in a two-part series with a couple of offshoots as well. I've got other ideas for topics that I think that you'll really appreciate and enjoy in the future. Okay, so stay tuned. But today is mindset plus habits equals success. Mindset plus habits equals success. Okay, whatever we are defining as success in our lives, be it physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, our mindset plus whatever habits that we inject into this equation equal success. All right, so today we're going to be digging into mindset, and I've been really working on this lately. If you're following me on Instagram, then you're seeing all of my stories where I'm hopping on in the morning and I'm telling you the things that I'm processing and thinking about. And this morning I was talking about what the stories are that you're telling yourself and others. And particularly, I'm going to talk about what stories you're telling about your own self. Okay, I want to do another video with Brian when we get the chance to sit down, where we're talking about what are the stories that you're telling others about your other, your significant other. And what are the stories that you have around your relationship? Are they good ones, bad ones? And how is that affecting what's going on in your relationship currently? So, but today we're gonna talk about just you, okay? So I always like to start with yourself, and that being the sole basis of, hey, this is what you can change. I'm not in charge of changing another person. I'm in charge of changing myself, and I am in charge of how I show up and how I respond to the circumstances and the situations around me, okay? That is a belief that I carry close to me, and it empowers me to respond differently whenever I'm not getting the results in life that I want, okay? If something doesn't feel good, or something does not become successful, let's say like in business or life, whatever. All of the above, I'm in charge of that, okay? And that means that I am empowered to make changes that will actually produce different results, okay? So here's the question for you is, what are the stories that you're telling yourself about yourself? And these same stories, are they the same ones that you're telling other people about yourself as well? Maybe you've ever had a story around, well, I'm clumsy, or I have bad posture, or I don't have good balance, or I couldn't do that, I'm not athletic, or I couldn't do that, I'm not a risk taker. I couldn't start my own business, I'm not a risk taker. Or gosh, I could never do that, like I'm just blah, 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 blah. We can go on and on, right? Please fill in the blank with something that you have come up with yourself, because this is huge. Like, this is practical application. This is life, okay? So what are the stories that you're telling yourself? And I want you to pick one that's not empowering you. Okay, so those ones that I just listed, like I'm so clumsy, or, you know, blah, 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 blah. What is one that's not empowering you to make any type of an improvement in that area, to where that story would actually be different or create a different ending, if you will, right? All right, so if I'm telling myself I'm clumsy, or if I'm telling you that I'm clumsy, guess what? I'm probably gonna like break my phone, or, you know, lose my sunglasses, or, you know, whatever other results that come from that mindset, okay? But if we can reframe that mindset, we can actually create new habits that give us different results, not breaking our phones, not tripping, and not losing our sunglasses, you know, to give some very simple examples, okay? So here's the thing. If you believe that you're subject to your circumstances, then you are entirely 100%. And here's also the cool thing. Is if you believe that you're not subject to your circumstances, that your response makes a difference. You can't necessarily control your circumstances and what life gives to you, Okay, I've learned this in my own life. There's many things that have come my way that have not been things that I asked for, but how I responded made a difference in what that circumstance produced after the fact. Okay, so if you believe that you're a victim of your circumstances, guess what? You will be. Okay, that's not an empowering statement. But if you believe that you can respond to your circumstances and that you're in charge of that and you can actually shape your own reality and destiny and future and all that kind of stuff, then you're in an empowered place to actually do those things. And guess what? That will be your reality. Our stories shape our reality, okay? Take the clumsiness, for example. Take the, not good balance or not being a risk taker, for example. Right? The more that we proclaim something over our lives, the more that we are just steeped in that belief, that identity, the more that it's going to show up. It's very, very simple. What we focus our brains on, our brains are like cameras, our minds are like cameras. And what we focus our minds on is what winds up developing in our lives. Okay, so if you don't want, the negative stuff, the depression, the bad relationships, the failed, businesses or, fired job or whatever, like if you don't want those things, don't focus on them. Focus over here and focus on what habits are going to be creating the results that you want, the successful relationship, the successful business or job endeavor, etc. Okay, so here's the thing. This is not a matter of excuses, okay? You can come up with any excuses in the book. But here's the thing. A possibility mindset is going to eliminate excuses, all right? But whenever you're coming from a limited mindset, those excuses are going to come left and right. I can't do this because, I'm not like that because, etc. But if you actually approach this with a mindset of, you know what, I think I could actually change that. I think I could become a morning person. Yeah. If you can at least just give it that much of consideration, then you actually can do it. But however, if you don't ever actually have that conversation with yourself internally or with others around you, then guess what? Go home, it's not gonna happen. Really, truly, because if we don't believe something, here's the thing, we've all heard the seeing is believing. It's actually the opposite. Believing is seeing. You're not gonna see it until you believe it. And it is absolutely the truth, okay? If you don't believe that you can be healthy in all the areas of your life, then you're not gonna see it, okay? But if you do, then you're gonna start finding ways that it's showing up. And it's gonna be encouraging, and you're gonna keep making changes. We're gonna talk about habits in next week's message. All right, so keep that in mind, all right? And here's the thing, none of us actually like excuses, right? Like they feel icky, yucky. Who wants to say like, yeah, so this circumstance is just absolutely controlling my life and I can't do anything about it? Doesn't that just feel crappy? Like it really does create this downward spiral of like a depression, this state where we're like, well, I can't do anything about it, boo. And honestly, there are many circumstances that we cannot do anything about in our lives, but we can choose how we respond. Therefore, we can create the outcomes that are more favorable for us and for all of those around us. This isn't just about us. This is the greater good of everybody, okay? Excuses feel yucky to me, and they feel yucky to you if I'm telling them to you, right? This is not, no. All right, so just think about these things, all right? Remember, what is that one story? What's one story that you're telling yourself that's not empowering you? And what are the excuses that you've found yourself kind of putting up as reasons, right? Like legs of a table, like here's my story, and the legs of it that it's standing on are the excuses, the reasons why I can't do X, Y, Z, all right? Or the reason why I'm like this, all right? So what are different legs of that table that we can actually put under it to prop up a different story? Number two, so number one was, if you believe you're subject to your circumstances, you are. And if you believe that you're not subject to them, then guess what? You are not. Disempowerment versus empowerment. Number 2 is get your ego out of the picture. This is huge, okay? A lot of times we get very attached to the identity around whatever this story is because, I mean, it's comfort. It's a way that we've related ourselves to the world around us, and for whatever reason, it supports us in some way. Okay, but analyze this and actually ask yourself the question of, is this really what I want? Is that really how I want to show up to my life? Is that really giving me the results that I want and that are good for all of those around me? Okay, think about how it does affect the people around you, especially with your family, with your children, if you have children, and friends, etc. Workplace. How does this affect how you show up, and can you change it? Okay, if you change that story, if you let go of that identity, all right, what could you do? Is there a new identity that you'd love to adopt? Would you like to be organized? Would you like to be in control? Would you like to be someone who is known for making moves and like taking risks in an intelligent way, right? I'm not saying like throw caution to the wind and let's just go and fly into the sunset. Like, it's not like that. It is balance, okay? Anything that I'm talking about here, like, take it with balance. I'm not saying like go fly crazy and, you know, become a gypsy or something like that. I mean, you can, trust me. I'm not saying anything bad about gypsies. I wanted to be one myself when I was oh gosh, what was it? Oh, I was 17 and I said that I wanted to go off and work for the circus for a summer. I thought that would have been the coolest thing. So I'm not talking bad on those things, but I'm also saying like just be intelligent, okay? Have the mindset of balance with this. Now, here's the thing too. In terms of identity, and I've had a lot of thoughts around this over the years because I was the kid back in school that tried to find her identity with a bunch of different groups, okay? I was a hippie for a while. I was the punk rock kid who went to the, oh gosh, I'm not even remembering the types of shows that we went to. But I was that kid. I was crowd surfing. I was doing that. But then I wanted to be goth for a season, so then I went goth, and then I tried on all of these different identities, and I was trying to find where I fit, and then at the end of the day, I realized I don't fit into any one particular mold, and I actually really like that because, number one, I can relate to more people, and number two, I can just be me, and I don't have to conform to any particular model, if you will. Okay, so my question to you here is, where are you placing your identity? All right, if you took away everything in your life, okay, I'm talking about relationships, okay, if you're married, your spouse, your partner, or if you're not married, your partner, regardless, your family, your work, your friendships, all of these things, like however you identify yourself, okay? Because a lot of times, okay, I go to like, let's say a networking event or something, and the first question is, oh, what do you do? Oh, where are you from? All of these are identifying things, right? Oh, I am the, you know, XYZ. I've been a wife before. I am the wife of, etc. Or I do, etc. All of these things are not necessarily permanent, okay? So the problem with placing our identity in them is that if something changes where that ends, then we're lost and in a whole world of pain. So it's really important to have a sure sense of who we are as individuals, our strengths, our weaknesses, our likes, our dislikes, what we want, what we don't want, what we'll put up with, what we won't. All of those things. It's really important to come back to those things. And also just to hold everything kind of loosely, not with this like tight grip, but like with a loose grip that says, I love you, which might be in relationship, might be in work, etc. But I'm not gonna squeeze but I'm not gonna squeeze the life out of you. I'm not gonna hold you so tight that I crush you, that kind of a thing. Okay, so be mindful of where your ego is and where your identity lies, okay? And be very open to changing it, to letting go of those reins and saying, like just asking a question around like, is that really real? Or if that were to go away, how would I identify myself? Who am I without all of these things, right? Maybe it's the neighborhood you live in. Maybe it's the car that you drive. Maybe it is the job that you have, etc. Okay, who are you outside of all of those things? And I'm not kidding you, that's not an easy question. It's not. But it's definitely one worth asking, particularly if you've never thought about it, or if you've thought about it and said, well, I really don't know, I'm gonna move on to something easier to think about. Return to it, because it's really worth it. It is really worth it, particularly because each of us in our lives are gonna encounter storms. And if we don't have any type of a foundation, if our house is built on sand, then we're gonna have to come back into shore and rebuild and figure it out again. So it's always easier to, fix your roof whenever the rain's not falling, okay? All right, so here's the thing. Whenever you take away everything, that is who you are. And that is who you want to identify. And it's whomever you wish to be, really, because you can change any aspect of your identity. Okay? If you feel like you're not a very compassionate person, you can develop compassion. If you feel like you're not a very patient person, you can develop patience. All of these things, it's mindset and believing and habits. That's it. It's not rocket science. All right? You can do rocket science too. It's just mindset and habits. All right, here's the thing. Next week, we're gonna be talking about habits themselves. All right? Here's the thing, like I was saying, you have to have the right mindset down first. So really dig into this and do some work around this week, all right? I'm gonna be recording next week and talking about habits. We will go into the fact that you can do anything so long as you have the right habits. Now, you can actually, your current habits, they look something like this. You've got a cue, you've got a routine, or the habit itself, and a reward. Okay, that's what your current habits are. Cue, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. Now, that's my routine. Now, I get a reward afterwards, okay? Whatever it is. We do everything for a reason, okay? And I'm gonna be going into how to change a current habit into the success that you want it to look like, okay? So specifically in health, fitness, and wellness, y'all know that health is the greatest value in my life. So I want everything to be healthy. It always feels better, okay? It's good for everybody around me, and it's good for myself. It's good for myself, and it's good for everybody around me. So health in all areas of life. All right, so we'll talk about habits. And in the meantime, like I said, identify one story that you're telling yourself that's not empowering or helpful and play around with it, okay? Write it out if that would work for you, all right? I always encourage that because writing is very meditative. Now, number 2, like, comment, and share this video, okay? The more participation that I can glean and get from just everybody talking about it, the better for everybody. So like it, comment, leave me your feedback, and share it. Share it with somebody that you care about, okay? And number 3, reach out to me if I can be of any help to you. I am here as a holistic personal trainer and also a health and wellness coach. I do remote coaching as well, so that's something that we can definitely have a conversation about. Hop on the phone for like 5-10 minutes. I'd love to hear about what it is that you want to accomplish with your health, fitness, and wellness, and learn more about where you're at today. See how we could navigate to get you there. So I look forward to talking with you. Have an amazing day, a wonderful week, and I'll talk with you soon.